Hey, peace and blessings to your family. Hope you're doing well. This is your brother Zion, and it is 4:41 Eastern Standard Time, 4:41 a.m. That is, and yes, I am up and alert. Wherever you are, from coast to coast, in your own respective time zone, I salute you this morning or this afternoon, wherever you are, from coast to coast. Um, I just want to drop in on you on the Shame Free Life Network and just share some things with you that I was observing and just going back to the Word and just make it applicable for my own self. And we share it and chop it up, and this is what we do. I was watching this IG video of Tyrese, and the name of this video is the cover up. The cover up. And I used to always be back in the day a Tyrese fan. I used to just admire, his acting skills, of course, his vocals, and just seemed like just a real cool dude just to be around. I mean, just a down brother. Um, and people that have met him say, yeah, he's just hilarious and whatnot. And and this is not a video in any shape or form uh, to bash or but just an analysis of what I see and to make it applicable for my own life and the life of many other people and specifically men. I was watching this IG video, and a lot of people don't realize that Tyrese is actually going through a divorce, so he is still technically a married man. And so he met this other young lady, and they hit it off, and that's his woman, even though that he is a married man, um, and he has a wife, but she also gave him a child, so they have a child together. But he's now with this other woman. And he posted on IG, how happy he is with her. They out partying, doing their thing, living it up. And, she's like, hey, this is my baby. You make me feel so good, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like posting, hey, listen, y'all go check out Fast 9. It's going to be dropping June the 25th. Y'all go get it. I mean, he's just like living a life. So from the outside looking in, we're looking at, man, he's making all this money. Man, all these fans are following him. All of these women are, hey, listen, hey, listen, go live your best life. Hey, listen, if you're happy, you like it, I love it, salute you, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, every time you see him, he's driving a nice car, living in a nice house. I mean, he has all of the amenities that most people aspire for. And I said, let me go see what his wife is up to. And because, in looking at all the comments, now I'm going somewhere with this, and looking at all the comments, there were many people that voiced their disappointment with his behavior, that they took issue with him preaching in one regard, talking about God, talking about Christ, and in the other regard, here you are, just living your best life while you're married. Isn't this a contradiction? Isn't this a shaming technique that you're using as a tool against your wife unwarrantedly? And so a lot of women were coming at him, basically calling him to a carpet of accountability for his reckless behavior. But there were many that were validating his behavior. There were many that were cheering him on. There were many that were condoning his behavior as being not only natural but needful. And I found that very interesting. So I went on to his wife's IG page, and I saw one particular video. She does live every Monday. I think it's Monday Miracle or something to that effect. And she was basically encouraging people while she was going through, and she was saying that, hey, listen, I'm having car issues and things going on with my daughter, and I'm in a valley right now, and sometimes you think that God has abandoned you, and He really hasn't. And she was really encouraging everyone else, but it was for her chiefly. How many can attest to that? I know I can. Encouraging so many people, but you are the first partaker of the fruit, and which is fine because oftentimes the Most High, He will minister to others, but He will first minister the message through the messenger. And so I was just looking at this. I was like, wow. I mean, I was just amazed. Yes, I was uplifted. I was encouraged, but at the same time, I was heartbroken. And so I began to go back and look at the word, and I began to look at in First Corinthians chapter 11, and there was one particular verse there around verse 17 where uh, Paul says, "Examine yourself." And it was talking about as far as partaking in communion before you take in communion, which is symbolic of the, the bread and the blood, being a metaphoric analogy of the sacrifice of Yeshua for us and also instead of us. But when you are taking in this type of communion, that you don't want to do it unworthily. You want to make sure that your heart is clear of anything that you've done, because you want to come to Him right, and you want to get it right before Him, before we partake in something as serious as this. So examine yourself. I was also taking a look in Corinthians, when Paul says that when I was a child, I thought as a child. I understood as a child. I even spoke as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. It's interesting that Paul didn't say, if I become a man, which means that it is conditional. You know, maybe I may become a man, I may not become a man. No, but when I become a man, meaning that there's a transition that should take place, a bridge from now to later that I've got to walk on. When I become a man, when I make that transition, when I become a man, I must put away all of the childish things which points to immaturity and a place of lack of identity. Because now that I have walked on this bridge from now to later in the transition or the transformation, now I'm leaving one identity behind to now embrace another identity in this place in my life. The cover up. We're still talking about the cover up. Oftentimes when we see people on the outside, we're looking at the nice clothes and the nice cars and the nice verbiage and the wonderful talents and gifts and the beautiful person, the beautiful face, the voluptuous body, etc., etc. And those things are real. But what's more real than that, which we do see, is the very thing that we don't see, which is the spirit of that person. I'm mindful that the word of Yah says that the spirit of man is the candle of the Lord, searching the inward parts of the heart. That it's the very spirit that is the most real essence of a person. Now, a person can have a dirty spirit or a clean spirit. They can have within them the Holy Spirit or within them an unholy spirit. We're still talking about the cover up. And it's easy to cover up that which is uncomely, that which is ugly, with makeup, um, with cars, with luxury items, with, hey, listen, I'm trying to, get back in the gym. I'm trying to work out. I want to get back down to this size. And that's wonderful because I'm all about fitness. I'm going back to school to get all these attainments and achievements and get these degrees. That's wonderful because I am an educator and I am a counselor. who also goes to see a counselor for himself. Um, but what is the purpose and the real reason that we're doing these things? Hey, I'm starting a ministry. Okay, that's wonderful. The Most High has called you. You say that He has. But what is the real motivation in doing these things or becoming these things? We're still talking about the cover up. Because of the real motivation is not coming from a place of wholeness, a place of the real you, the real identity, then those things that oftentimes we endeavor in, those things oftentimes that we accomplish becomes nothing more than a cover up. When I begin to look at the video of Tyrese and I begin to look at the various comments, um, I begin to just not scratch my head, but I begin to say, Lord, you're saying something here. Because Tyrese, and I'm praying for him, um, he represents so many of us, men and women, that oftentimes refuse to look in the mirror of reality and see things as they really are. Refuse to accept the challenge for change. That's grasping for success in so many different things that we acquire and that we achieve and that we attain, a type of look that we're trying to get, trying to become the next gospel preacher sensation, or whatever it is that we are going after hard. And we do these things, but these things become a cover up because oftentimes we're not dealing with the real issue. And the real issue is what the Most High, Yah, God Himself is after. As an old man once said, he said, young buck, he said, there's more to keeping something than it is to getting it. To get something is a small thing, but to keep that thing is the chief thing. Do we have what it takes to maintain it, which would justify you in getting it? And when we look in the mirror of reality, oftentimes that's not a good place. That's not a good look because we're looking at the good, bad, and the indifferent. But when we're trying to cover up rather than to expose before the Lord, then oftentimes we will gravitate to those individuals that either one love the cover up or two that benefit from the cover up. So it's very easy to now oftentimes, and especially, we see it a lot. Women are basically stepping their game up because unfortunately in our brokenness as men, we've shown them the game of cover up. And so now they're taking it to a whole nother level. But in a relationship, in a marriage, this is how a man can leave. People will ask, well, I mean, dude, what were you thinking about, man? You left this for that? My dude, are you crazy? I mean, what's going on with you? Why in the world? And I don't know this woman. I don't know Samantha Lee. I don't know Tyrese, and I don't know the woman that he's with right now. So I am in no way, shape, or form one that can sit in a judge's seat. That is for the Most High. But all I'm doing is pulling these components together, and we're talking about why we often do what we do and the moves that we make of covering up a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, a lot of grief. And we disassociate ourselves from people that can actually help us. I'm not saying become your Lord, but can actually help you become a better you because the real you is the healed you, or the healed you is the real you. And oftentimes it's like, here is the real you, and it's covered with the persona of who you are. And the persona of who you are is covered with the false belief system of who you are. The false belief system of who you are is covered by the public image of who you profess to be. And so, under all of those layers lies the real person, and that real person is broken. The real person has been traumatized by episodes and events of life, by losses and grief that have injured the psyche, the emotions, the very soul of that person. And so, oftentimes, when we're injured like that, um, we oftentimes will manifest different traits of that trauma. And what's really amazing, sadly amazing, is that people will oftentimes sit back, still talking about the cover up, and watch a person self destruct right before them while they're eating popcorn as if they're watching an action flick or a drama on the silver screen of life, in the movie theater of your own madness. And so when I'm looking at people in this brother's timeline, hey, listen, oh, my dude, man, she bad, man. Look at that body, dude, man, she banging, man. That right there, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, she a Leo, you a Capricorn. Oh, dude, I don't know, man. You better be careful. But man, she is bad though. Encouraging this kind of delinquent behavior, encouraging this kind of immaturity. And Apostle Paul says, when I was a child, when I was immature, when I was without an identity. Yeah, you're a wonderful singer, but that ain't my identity. You're a great actor, but that ain't my identity. You are a model, but that ain't my identity. You are this, that, and the other, but that's not who I am. I've got to discover who I am. And in order to discover who we are, we have got to put in the sweat equity, examine ourselves, to test, to inspect ourselves, to put in that work concerning ourselves and going through counseling. Yes, it's not a horrible thing, it's a needful thing. Surrounding ourselves in a support group, not with a bunch of yes men and yes women, but those who will celebrate you, who will honor you, who would encourage you, but also put their foot in your assets when it's time to call you to a higher place of accountability. Listen, you did wrong. Let's talk about this. Why is this going on? To become a better you. They're helping to remove the layers of a persona, of a fake you, of a fraudulent you, of a counterfeit you, of a public you, that the real essence of who you are can now breathe, because it's hard to breathe under all of those fake layers. But oftentimes, when we don't want to be accountable, when we don't want to become mature, we will gravitate to those very people that are just like we are, but that can benefit off of our own dysfunction. As they sit back in real time, eating their popcorn, watching us self destruct. We see it all the time in social media. People that get on social media, Facebook, whatever the case may be, they're voicing. They, you can tell who a person really is just by sitting back and keeping your mouth shut while you watch them and hear them keeping their mouth open. Just let them talk long enough. They will tell you everything that you need to know about who they are and where they are. Alarm going on. So This is what's going on. This is what's going on with a lot of us as people. We're sitting back and we're watching people self-destruct in real time. We're watching them sell us a lie that they live in their best life when they're really not, because behind closed doors is the real you. When all of the hookah smoke is cleared, when they've already called the last call for alcohol, when all the strippers are leaving the pole and they're going back home, after you leave the movie set, after you leave your job, after you leave the ministry from preaching, after you leave your business that you started, after you log off of social media, behind closed doors is the real you. And we oftentimes sell people so many different identities that they don't even understand that there's an identity that's not being sold. And what we actually are selling them is false advertisement from a false and counterfeit identity. And so Apostle Paul said that when I was a child, when I was immature, when I had lack of identity, when I had lack of motivation and drive to, to get on the road of self-discovery, when I was a child, I thought as a child. My thinking was just like a child. My thinking was attention getting. My thinking was to please my lower nature. My thinking was to become like other people because I don't like who I am. Or I don't know who I am, and I'd rather live my life vicariously through you. My thinking is always defeatism. My thinking is that I would never come out of this situation. I thought as a child. I understood as a child. Understanding meaning that one's own belief system. What are we mentally processing? How are we processing it? What is my belief system? Do you believe that you can become a better you or no? Do you believe that you're all of these personalities that you have invented yourself to be? Because you feel that when people discover who you really are, the real you, that they won't like you anymore. And most people that are comfortable with your dysfunction, when you begin to become a healed you, which is the real you, no, they won't like you. They won't like the real you, because that means that now you're forcing them to go through the same metamorphosis, the same spiritual, emotional, and mental, psychological transformation of becoming a real person as opposed to this plastic counterfeit person, like having Botox or Brazilian butt lift or implant. That ain't the real you. That's fake. And so oftentimes we take on these same type of personality mind and mindsets in becoming something that we're not. And if you begin to believe something long enough, you will become it, even though it's fake as all get out. So Apostle Paul said, when I was a child, I thought as a child. I even understood as a child. But when I became a man, my speaking changed. Now my speaking begins to line up with my thinking, and my thinking lines up with my belief system, which is my understanding. So, in other words, I had to leave from where I am to get to a much better place down the road of self discovery. We're still talking about the cover up. The cover up. So, it's a place that we are ushered into that the Most High wants all of us to get into in becoming a better you, becoming a better me. Because when we do that, it not only justifies our existence here, but now we are embarking upon true freedom. True freedom. Publicly and privately, true freedom. When you have everything at your fingertips And then when you lose it all and have nothing, but what you do have is truth. And it's the truth of the matter that sets us free. It's the truth of the matter that gives us freedom. I'm not talking about emancipation, because even Lincoln, so called, signed the Emancipation Proclamation, which did not free Black people. It just transformed into another type of slavery. Slavery educationally, slavery economically, slavery civically, slavery from a legislative and political standpoint, slavery literally in regards to the 13th Amendment that's linked to mass incarceration. So slavery just morphed into a more high technical slavery, a more high tech slavery, a more advanced slavery, but it's still slavery, emancipation. But the Lord wants us to experience liberation. For the word of Yah says, where the spirit of the Lord is, where the spirit of Yah is, there is liberty. Liberation is without restraints. Liberation. Hey, I'm fine if you're with me. I'm fine if you're against me, because I know who I am. Liberation is not trying to sell people on the fake you, but introducing to them the real you, which you are fine with. That's liberation. Liberation is a speaking. Liberation is a thinking. Liberation is a understanding or a belief system that you yourself are sold on. That regardless of what has happened to you in your life, regardless of the brokenness, regardless of the setbacks and the adversity, regardless of the injustices that you have incurred, regardless of the abandonment, regardless of all of the rejection, regardless of the shame, regardless of what you have gone through, the abuse, etc., you fill in your own blank and I will fill in mine. But that you are liberated. There's a freedom in not only your identity, but there is a freedom because you have embraced your destiny. And that is priceless. You can't put a price tag on that, nor can you discount that. We're talking about the cover up. And so when all of those layers are lifted, that is the very core essence of who we are. And so there's no need to now, hey, listen, I'm leaving this relationship, or I'm leaving this person, I'm leaving this this support system that I have that is calling me to accountability, that is calling me to a higher place of self-awareness, spiritual awareness, to be a much better me. I don't want that. What I want to do is embrace the dark side of me, the delinquent side of me, the immature side of me, which covers the broken side of me, the fragmented side of me, the unhealed side of me, the unclean side of me. And I need a whole nother circle. Now, it's one thing for y'all to remove people away from your circle because they mean you no good. And to place people in your circle that will draw you closer to Him and also to the higher form of who you are, the higher essence of who you are, the higher consciousness of who you are, which is not in New Age, but is in Yeshua HaMashiach, Christ Jesus. But when you hear people, oh, I'm cutting people off, I'm cutting people off. Well, if you're not cutting them off to become a better you, but you're cutting them off because they're challenging you to become a better you. I question your motives because you're cutting them off to now replace them with people that will keep you in your dysfunctional behavior in reckless state of mind. And that is not the will of the Most High. We're still talking about the cover up. And so, what the Lord is trying to do, and I watched the video, and it allowed me to go back and to analyze, and I said, man, there's a Tyrese in all of us. It may be to a higher degree or a lesser degree of wanting God, of wanting the higher self, wanting to become a better person, but still holding on to the world, still holding on to dysfunction, still holding on to ignorance, still holding on to attention getting, still holding on to validation and affirmation of other people, still holding on to the lust that we have that is destructive for us. And I'll say this and I digress. It was said to me um, by a great man who is still being a great man, uh, Brian Keith Williams, Bishop Brian Keith Williams. He said that rat poison is made from 10% arsenic and 90% cornmeal. It doesn't take much arsenic. It doesn't have to be 90% arsenic and 10% cornmeal to do its job in killing a rodent. But just 10%, just a very small percentage of poison is all that's needed in the midst of something that is needed. You know, people eat cornbread, whatever ingredients that cornmeal will go in. You know, you can substitute the cornmeal for something else, whatever it is, some type of food product that is good for, that has some type of nutritional value, that's good for your biological makeup. That's needful. The arsenic is not. And it doesn't take a lot of poison to kill off and to get the job done. It just takes a small amount of poison that is hidden in the very thing that you need to take you out. Oftentimes, the enemy would bring us just enough of poison to take us out. Still talking about the cover up. Oftentimes, in us, in our thinking, in our heart, in our spirit, it may not be a whole lot of negativity. It may not be a whole lot of dysfunction, but just enough to keep a man or a woman in a prison of falsehood, in a prison of addiction, in a prison of recklessness, to keep that person from embracing and becoming the liberation that the Most High has designed. It only takes a small amount of friends to keep a person in their dysfunctional behavior. Not all of your friends, just one friend. Hey, listen, you go ahead and do you. You know, hey, I totally understand. Hey, listen, I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. I got your back, girl. You go ahead. Listen, girl, listen. Okay, you okay, yeah, you married, but listen, take that ring off, and tonight you ain't married. Go ahead and do you, child. If you don't, I will. You know, and just get back up, clean yourself off, go back home till you do your wifely duties. It only takes a small percent to bring forth destruction. And this video is called The Cover Up. And all of this came from just meditating and seeing that, man, you know what? If the truth be told, if you take off the praise team outfit, if you take off, sir, your clerical collar and all of that stuff, man, there's a Tyrese in everybody. And what the Most High wants, whether what degree that you find yourself in, to find the best part of you, which is the real us, the real you that's hidden beneath all of the veneers, that's hidden beneath all of the personalities, the characters that we have created in this dangerous theatrical play. So the healed you is the real you. Peace and blessings. Love you to life. I hope this was beneficial. Definitely beneficial for me. I'm taking it in, meditating, get back in the word, um, and allow a lot of unraveling to take place, to become a much better me, which is the healed me. Join me on this shame-free life journey. There is no shame. There is no shame when it comes to becoming a better person. There is no shame as it relates to where you've been in your life or what was done to you in your life. You cannot help what was done to you. You cannot help who injured you or how you were injured, but you are responsible for self-healing. Join us at the Shame Free Life Network, at theshamefreelife.com, theshamefreelife.com. Look at everything that we're offering there, and just follow the Shame Free Life movement. Why? Because we are our brothers and our sisters keeper. That's how we get down. That's real kingdom reality. So until next time, peace and blessings. Love you to life.